Hello friends, it's been a long time since the last video. So in this video I'm going to share a new project. It's actually is a Google form built with approval workflow. Okay, so let me introduce you the user cases here. So here I have a Google form here for a leave application. So basically, you can do the similar stuff in your organization. So here I have a leave form here. You need to enter your email address and your name. And the department here is very important because for maybe in your organization, for a different department, maybe have different approval flow. Maybe the manager of the department is different, so you need to define a key here for different flows. Okay, so you can use any keyword in your form, but you need to update it later in the script. So here I'm using department as a key. So if you choose HR, the flow will be triggered with the person we define is flow for the HR. If you choose the IT, so there will be a flow for the IT. So I will show this to you later. You need to configure this in the script for each department. All right, so this part is very important, I need to say. And you can define other stuff, like for the leave form you need to set up the date start and the date end. Okay, and you also can do some leave types and leave reasons, right? So that's all for this leave form. So let's try to submit a response for the test. So here I put my email address here. So this time I'm using Outlook account to separate them, the different emails from the Gmail and Outlook. Okay, put my name here, and I choose HR for this test. Let's choose a date from date end. Choose a leave type, birthday leave. Happy birthday. Let's submit. So basically, once I submitted this response, the script, we're going to check this response and send the approval email to the approver and send a notification to the respondent. So if I check my email, since I send it, since the responder is my Outlook account. So if I go to my Outlook, as you can see here, I have a notification like approval pending, and this is the title of your Google form. Okay, so if you change the form title, you will have another subject in the email. Okay, so basically this is the title here will be put it here in this subject. So this is notification the respondent, so the requester should receive, and then you have all of details about this form, about your application. So you can see the timestamp and your email address, all the information you inputted in the form. All right, and the last two items here are added by the script. I'm going to generate a UID for this response. Okay, so this also can be configured in the script. All right, maybe for some people you're going to have something else, maybe a order number, something else like that. All right, I'm sorry for the invoice, the noise outside. And so here is approval details about the flow here. Because in the HR workflow, I defined two contact two approvers in this flow. So we'll have the HR lead and the HR manager. And right now this approval request is pending on this HR lead, and the HR manager is waiting for this approval, right? So if you click this link, you should be able to see result. Okay, basically you can check out the status here. So once your manager or your team leader approve or reject your approval, you will see the result here, right? So this is the notification and the check URL for your request. All right. So this is for the requester, and for approver, I'm using another email. So for the approvers, they should receive an email like this. So approval required, and also we have the form title in this subject. All right, you get the same information as the requester and approve details here as well. And if you click this button, approve or reject, it should bring you to the page. You can add your comments and you can reject or approve this request. So if you put your comments here called approve, and you can approve it, and you can reject it. So right now let's try this approve button here. So once you approve it, and it should refresh this page, and you will get this result. And now as the current approver, you already approved it, and you get this status in this workflow section here. And the next approver should get an email notification, and the status of this approver is now pending now. Okay, so if I go back to my email box and let me refresh this page, I should get another email as the HR manager. All right, so this is a one for the HR manager, as you can see here. And you also can check the comments and the approval for the status of the previous approvers. Okay, so for HR lead is already approved it, so you can see it here, and now it's pending on you. Okay, and then you click this button, and they should bring you to another page, and you can do the approve or reject there. So if I try to reject this and I say sorry, we all need you on that day, and reject, it should reject this request, and the requester should get a notification. All right, so now it's reject. So if the status is rejected, this header, the background of this header will be highlighted in red, right? So if it's approved, it will be green. So just a little bit of the color highlight for this application. Okay, now this is rejected. So if I go to my Outlook account here, you should receive a message like this. So your approval request has been rejected. And this button is also in red. And you can see all the details about the approval flow here. And as you can see, for first approver already approved it, and the HR manager declined your request and rejected it. So you get comments here, you know the details about why your approval request is rejected. All right, so that's almost the main flow and the main purpose of this project. So as you can see here, I'm already introduced all the main functionality of this tool. So right now, let me show you how you can do it in the Google Form. Right. So first of all, let me open this spreadsheet here. You should be able to see all the data stored in the spreadsheet. So this is the example we just tested with this ID number 5. Okay, so if you check the email, it should be number 5 here. All right. So basically, Let me zoom in a little bit. So basically, for the columns which don't have the green background, they are from the Google form. Okay. So all of this information are from Google form. So in this Google form data, two of them are very important. The first one is this email address. So this is one we need to use to send email to the requester. So if you don't have this column in your form, the script will not know who should be sent with notifications. Okay, so this is very important, and don't change the header email address. All right. And another one is this department. So this department is also important to define which flow we should use for this approval. So for this example, we are using HR. That means we're going to use a flow with key of HR in our script. So let me open the script and explain that to you. So the script is attached to the Google form, not in this spreadsheet. All right, so you basically open the Google form and go to this more button and go to the script editor. I'm going to open the script for you. So in the script, I think all the settings you need to do is in this app.gs file. Okay, so at the very top, as you can see here, you need to define the approval flows here. So in this object, so here I have a default flow. So I also basically we have three key value pairs here. So the first one is a default flow, and another one is for HR, and next one is for the IT. So as you can see here, for HR, I have two elements here, two objects in this array. So the first one is the HR lead, and the next one is HR manager. So if you have more persons in your approval flow, you can add them very easily in your in this object. So basically, you can copy this and add more persons in your workflow. Okay, so just simple like this. So if you have more department, and you also can copy this and do something like this, and you need to rename this. Maybe this is for maybe supply chain, something like this. Okay. Oops. So this will be very easy to configure. All right. So all the flows are configured here. So if there is any flow which cannot be found, maybe HR, maybe you put something like maybe add another stuff, maybe add another option, maybe for another department, what department, and we say supply chain. So you add a department here, and somebody selects this supply chain, and which cannot be found in your script. Where is my script? So it's not defined in this flows object. It's going to use this default flow. Okay, so this is just in case this you miss it. All right, so basically you need to define all the department in this flow. It's not a department, just an example. So maybe you can call this something else. Maybe I don't know. You can use this, but it's very important. If you use another stuff, maybe department, maybe some other things like keys or categories, maybe something whatever, maybe colors. So you need to make sure this header, basically, this should be defined here as well. Okay, so department. I think you get my idea. So because in the script, let me show you. So here we defined which column we are going to use for the flow header. So we're going to use this as a key column for the flow. Okay. So if you use another keyword for your flow, you need to change it here. So by default, this department. So once maybe you change the name with another keyword, you also need to update it in the script. Okay, or the script will not know, don't know which column should be used for the flow. Okay, so this is very important. So as I put important in the comment. Okay, and another stuff is here. This email header, I also put it here. Do not change. Okay, so this is very important. You need to configure this. And for the street name here, I use a default form responses 1. So this is the default street name when you connect your form to Google Sheet. Okay, so please don't change this. If you change the name here, what I mean, if you change the tab name here, you also need to update the name in the script. Okay, so if you prefer another name, you can change it here and make sure the name is the same as the name you defined in your script. All right, and another thing is very important. So this URL is the web URL for my app. So once you build your own project, you need to publish and you deploy your project as a web application. So once you deploy it, and you should be able to get a URL. So you copy this URL and replace this URL with yours. Okay. So basically, that's a very basic setup you need to do. Basically, you configure your flow, and you replace this URL with yours, and you can keep the others if you don't need to change them. So if you have to change them, make sure the department and the department is the most important thing you need to. I think is maybe the only thing you need to change. So if you need to change the ID prefix, you also can do it here. All right. So if you don't like the status, you also can change it here. Maybe for the approved, maybe you can change another name. The reject, maybe denied, you also can update it here. All right, so that's not important, but you also can do it here. And for the status header, if you go to check, we have underscore status here. So if you don't like it, you also can change it in the script. Basically defined here. You can change it here, and for the response to the ID, you also can change it here. I think status in the email, and another thing is the UID. So maybe it's a invoice number or purchase order number, something like that. You also can change it here, so the name can be updated in here. And in your email, you are going to have another name, not the UID, maybe a purchase order or some order number, invoice number. You can update. All right. So I think that's almost everything you need to do. So I only covered the basic of this approval workflow. Okay. I didn't do a lot of complicated stuff. So maybe one more thing. So you can have different persons for each flow. So in this example, for this HR, I only have 2 approvers in this flow. And for this ID, as you can see, I have 3 persons in this array. So let me show you. So for this one, as you can see here, this is approval 1, this is 2, and 3 is blank. As you can see, 3, there is no person. So let me try to show you for the IT department. Let me try to submit a new one. So let's do this. Let's try the Outlook email address here. This time I pick ID and pick a date. So let's do annual leave. So let's do IT leave test. Submit. So once I complete this, I should get all this data generated automatically, and the ID is already generated, and I have the status pending here. This is response ID of the Google form, and I'm going to generate the tasks, as you can see. So this is for approval 1, this is for the second one, and this third one. All right. So basically, these data are put in the object, as you can see here. We have email and the name and the title for this approver, and this comment is null. The task ID going to use in the URL, okay, and this timestamp, and if this has a next approver, going to have set up true, so maybe this have a next one. All right, so all the information are saved here in the spreadsheet. All right, so if I go back to the Outlook, I got a notification here, and we have 3 approvers. All right, the lead, the manager, the president of the IT department. All right, so it's now pending on the IT lead. So it's similar, it's very similar, okay? So it just depends on how you set up your workflow for different department. All right, so I think that's it for this video, and I'm going to share this form, but with Google Form, I have to give you the edit access so you can make a copy of it, but please don't change the code. So once I gave you the edit access, you will be able to modify the code, but don't do that. Please make a copy of the code to your Google Drive so you can play with it. If you change my code and someone they make a copy of it, and maybe you did something wrong, but you don't notice that, and maybe we're gonna not work for others. So please don't make any change to this code if you don't know what you are doing, okay? And if you don't, but I also going to put this code in to GitHub, so you also can make a copy of all the code. So basically, there are 9 files. You can also make a copy of them from my GitHub repository, and you can build on your own, okay? So I think that's it for today's video, and you should be able to get the link to the GitHub in the description of this video, and also the link for this form, okay? So, all right, so I think that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.